What's up, guys? This is Kyle from Wax Museum, and today I'm going to share with you my top 10 Jeff Foster cards. And before I dig in, I want to address a question that I've gotten several times before, and one that you're probably wondering right now, and that is, why do I collect Jeff Foster? And that's a good question. So I'm going to give you the short version here. There's three main reasons. Number one, he's a lot cheaper than Reggie Miller. Number two, he covers several different iterations of the Pacers that I was a big fan of. So you've got kind of that 99-2000 finals team. He was a rookie that year. Even though he didn't appear in the finals, he was on the roster. Then you have that Brawl era team, for lack of a better phrase. And then that kind of extended into the Paul George era as well. So he was with the team for a really long time. And he was kind of the one consistent thing that spanned all of those eras. And then finally, that also applies to Card. So I get some of the late 90s stuff with him, not a ton, but he was a rookie in 1999. So you're going to see some of them today are from 1999 and they're nicer cards. So I get a little bit of 90s. I get a little bit of the early 2000s, the finest stuff. He was in some of that stuff. He was in Topps Total. And then I also get some of the early era Panini. For whatever reason, they put him in a lot of that 2009, 2010 stuff. Okay, enough with the introduction. It's time to go ahead and talk about the cards themselves. Number 10 is a 2005-2006 Topps Total Gold Parallel, numbered to 10. If you followed my content for any amount of time now, you probably have heard me talk about Topps Total. It was a 2-year product that came out in the mid-2000s. So the first year was 2004-2005. The second year was 05-06. It was not a glamorous set, and it was never intended to be, and it had a huge checklist. I know the second year at least was 440 cards, so that was great for a team collector like me because it meant there were a lot of guys in there that maybe weren't in some of the other product. In addition to that, there were coaches, there were assistants, and there were mascots as well. This product didn't have a lot of actual hits. I know the first year there were printing plates for both the front and the backs of the cards, so that's 8 total, and then there were some autographs that were a little bit tougher to come by. The second year they kept those, but then they also added this gold parallel numbered to 10, which is nothing super fancy. It's not shiny. It's just literally the base card, but it's with a gold border, and they've got the serial numbering on the back. But for me at the time, I was a low-end collector. I still consider myself to be. I was in high school at the time. It was a little bit of a chase for me. People were opening these cases. They were cheap. It's something I've collected over the years and I have a lot of nostalgia for. So truth be told, if this was something that I was not familiar with in the past and I was just now learning about and maybe, let's say I just purchased this, it probably wouldn't make the list, but that's not the case. And as it currently sits, this one is my number 10. Okay, number 9 is the first 1999 card on the list, but certainly not the last. There's actually quite a few of them. It is a 1999-2000 Bowman's Best Atomic Refractor, numbered to 100. Bowman's Best was an interesting looking product that year because it kind of had a basketball floor incorporated into the design. The veteran cards had like this yellow or goldish design, and then most of the rookies had more of a blue tint to them. I know there was also this best performer subset where some of them were red, but I'm just talking about the base versions, the main versions. So anyway, the base refractors were numbered to 400. Those were 1 in every 8 packs. And then the atomic refractors were numbered to 100, and they were 1 in every 33 packs. And the atomics kind of had a cracked ice effect over certain parts of the card. So like the lines on the floor and the outline of the players, those really popped. The player's name had the effect as well, and so on. So it just looks really good. And I'm going to say this about several cards on the list, but pictures do not do these cards justice. You really need a good video to show them off if you're posting them on social media. But really, if you can, you just need to see them in hand. So Jeff Foster's 1999 Bowman's Best Atomic Refractor is my card number 9. Okay, number 8 is a parallel that you probably heard me talk about on the show before. It is the 1999-2000 Topps MVP promotion. And even though it's not serial numbered on the card, those are numbered to 100 or less, as I'll talk about here in a moment. But anyway, 1999 was the first year that Topps made these. They look just like the base card from the set, except there's a foil stamp on the front that says MVP promotion. And then if you flip them over, the backs have this little form that you would fill out, and it's kind of like a redemption of sorts, but it's actually a contest. And Topps named an MVP each week during the season when these cards came out. If you got the player who won the player of the week, then you could redeem the card for this redemption set. And a lot of the good players now will have less than 100 of these on the market because when they were named MVPs, they were sent in. So like Kobe would be really hard to find. Shaq's probably hard to find. Iverson, I'm guessing, won some as well. Those would be hard to find. Well, on the other hand, a guy like Jeff Foster is also tough to find because people knew he would never win the Topps MVP, and they were tossed aside or thrown away. And for years, people really didn't think much of these, even for the star players. I would say the last 5 years, they've become a lot more popular. Player collectors were really getting into them, and then I think they just kind of caught on. So anyway, this, I'm very fortunate to have it. It was listed under football cards. I think it's the only one I've ever seen for Jeff Foster. I got it for like $4, but very difficult card to track down. And had I not seen that one listing, it's one that I would still be looking for years later. So that is why this is my card number 8. 99-2000 Topps MVP promotion of Jeff Foster. Okay, number 7 is a 1999-2000 Topps Finest Gold Refractor numbered to 100. This is another rookie set that uses that hardwood floor design that I talked about not long ago. I guess that was the thing back then instead of black curtains. Over the years, you probably heard me say something to the effect of it's the card that is in the slab that counts. It's not the slab that makes the card. You know, something along those lines. Well, that's true 99% of the time, but I would be lying if I said that the slab for this card did not affect my purchase because I already had one of these, but I grabbed this one because it is a Certified Express 9.5 Mint Plus, Certified Express CEX, C-E-X, and this is the only card I've ever seen slabbed by this grading company. It happened to be the player that I collect. It happened to be one of his top rookies. So when I saw that pop up on eBay, that was an instant buy for me. That was one I knew I was going to bid on. I knew I was going to win. So yes, I did actually buy a card for the slab. It's staying in that slab. There's no way it's getting cracked out, and probably helped it a little bit on these rankings here. So that is why it is my card number 7. Finest Gold Refractor CEX 9.5. Okay, card number 6 is the first Panini card on the list, and it's the first relic on the list too. It is a 2009-2010 Panini Certified Fabric of the Game Team Die Cut Prime Relic numbered to 10. This was Panini's first season with the NBA license, and luckily for me, they included Jeff in quite a bit of stuff, including memorabilia sets, because they had somehow acquired one of the Pacers' old pinstripe jerseys, which the team hadn't used since the 2004-2005 season, and I think they might have gotten a pair of shorts too. Fabric of the Game has like 8 different variations depending on how the relic window is cut. For example, I have a couple of the relics numbered to 25 that spell out NBA. There's a jersey number 1 where the window looks like Jeff's number 10, and then like I said earlier, this one is the team name variations, so the cutouts spell Pacers. And I picked up some of the other variations throughout the years, but wasn't able to get this one until it finally showed up on eBay sometime in 2021 or 2022. Now, prior to the Panini era, Jeff had never had any jumbo patches, and he didn't get many with Panini either, and I'll touch on that more later. This is the only version that I would classify as a jumbo patch, because you can tell it's one continuous piece under all the cuts, whereas some of the other variations combine smaller pieces from different parts of the uniform. So that really elevates this one for me, and that's a big reason why it's number 6 on my list. Okay, card number 5 is another relic, and it's actually from the same product. It's a 2009-2010 Panini Certified Mirror Emerald Materials Prime, numbered to 5. This is a card that was actually owned by another Jeff Foster collector that I know for a long time. Well, he collects George Gervin as well, and at one point I was showing off some Hall of Fame stuff on my YouTube channel, and I showed a George Gervin letter. Little did I know he actually had every other letter in that nameplate, so he really wanted the letter that I have, and we were able to make a deal, and obviously that included this Jeff Foster card that I'm talking about now. One thing I really like about this one is it's a piece of a laundry tag, and I like laundry tag pieces in general, but it has the Pacers logo. It's kind of centered in the card, so it seems like something that would be in a 101. Not only that, if you look at the other Emerald versions from this set for other players, they're typically not laundry tag pieces. I think Foster might be the only one I've seen that has those, so it's something I had kind of been eyeballing in his collection for a long while. It didn't really think it would ever materialize, but we were able to make a deal, so I'm thankful to him for that, and it really worked out for both of us. So anyway, that is my card number 5. Card number 4 is a 1999-2000 EX Essential Credentials Future, numbered 12 of 16. And if you spend any amount of time on hobby social media, I figure you're used to seeing credentials parallels by now. But in general, the way credentials worked is there were 2 parallels of the base card, the credentials now and the credentials future. And each year, the 2 serial numbers totaled up to a predetermined number. In 1999, the 2 rookie parallels added up to 31, which makes them considerably more rare than some of the other years. So, like I said earlier, my Foster is the future version, numbered to 16, which means his now version is numbered to 15 because they have to add to 31. Now, I actually had a shot to purchase the now before I purchased this one, but the seller was leveraging a bunch of other offers against one another. This was all as I was boarding a flight back from the National one year, ironically enough. So by the time I landed, I found out I had lost. I was pretty bummed out about that. But then this future version showed up on social media sometime after, and the seller actually had 2 of them. The other one was jersey numbered. I elected to go with this one because I felt like his prices were pretty high. And this is one of those cards where when you're trying to acquire one, you're not really competing against other Foster collectors as much as you are 90s guys or guys that just like this set. So you take what you can get and you just be happy with that. And in this case, obviously, I am. That's why this one is number 4 on my list. Okay, so for card number 3, I cheated a little bit here. It's actually 2 different cards, but they're very closely related, so I put them in the same spot, and that kind of let me put another card on the countdown too. But anyway, these are the 1999-2000 Skybox Premium Star Ruby parallels, and there's 2 different ones. So if you look at the base set, the rookies in the base set had a regular portrait version of the rookie, and then there was a short print that was considered the action photo, and they kind of carried that over to the Star Rubies numbering as well. So all of the Star Rubies, including the veterans, had a regular version numbered to 45. Those were cards number 1 through 125. Well, then those short print action variations also had a Star Rubies that was numbered to 25. So those are obviously a lot harder to track down. I mean, it's just 25 is a lot less than 45. Personally, I like the action versions better, and it's not even because of the numbering or the photos, and they're just basic rookie photo shoot shots anyway, where the players are jumping in the air. But the reason I like the variations better is because they use blue foil for the player name and the team name, as opposed to the regular Star Rubies, which use red. Either way, I think they both look great, and I'm fortunate that I was able to acquire them before all the 90s stuff just really got out of hand. So that's my number 3. Okay, card number 2 is a 2016-2017 Panini Immaculate, the Standard, Platinum Relic 101. I talked about some of the 2009 Jeff Foster relics earlier. They continued those into 2010. He retired in March of 2012, and Panini put him in one more set the following year, which was 2012-2013 Totally Certified, and after that there was a break. Fast forward to 2016. Well, really it was 2017 because it was towards the end of the release calendar. I'm looking at the checklist for the new Immaculate release like I always do, and I noticed Jeff was included in the Immaculate Standard Jumbo Relic set they do every year, so that was a surprise in itself. On top of that, there was a Platinum 101 version that they hadn't done in any of the previous releases. I was hoping it might be a Logo Man since I knew they had a couple of them on hand and hadn't used them yet, but either way I was excited to see him included in the release. So I watched like every Immaculate break I could find. And there were, enough in 2016, probably not as much as it seems like there are now, or at least not as many recorded, but there was quite a bit. And eventually I was watching a live stream and the Foster was pulled. And you can kind of imagine the collective groan in the chat comments. They didn't pretend like it was a huge hit. There was no screaming. No one ripped their shirt off or anything like that. And it was kind of like, who is this guy? Meanwhile, I'm watching, I'm trying not to freak out, and I'm trying to get in touch with the person that hit it. This is the one card in the release that I've been looking for. So It took a little bit of maneuvering to track that person down, but eventually I did so via the Blowout forums, and we made a deal. I'm pretty sure I paid $45 for this one, which was a fair value for both of us at the time. And aside from the fabric of the game I mentioned earlier, this is Jeff Foster's only Jumbo Prime relic, and it's a 1-of-1. The other one has the pieces behind a bunch of different cut windows, whereas this one is just one big window that's cut out. So that's why I kind of say it's really his only true jumbo patch. And it was the one release he was in since retiring in 2012, and he hasn't been in another since 2016. So imagine collecting a player, and he's got limited cards from his playing days to begin with, and then relatively nothing after retiring. That was the position I was in. Some of you don't have to imagine because you're in that spot as well. But anyway, that's why this one ranks pretty high for me. I'm surprised it even exists. I'm surprised I was able to track it down. And I'm surprised I was able to eventually own it. So like I said, this one is number 2 overall on my list. Okay, we've finally made it to number 1. This is a card that I won recently, and the whole reason I even pieced this countdown together. Card number 1 is a 1999-2000 SPX Spectrum 1-of-1. And SPX is one of those products that I think kind of gets forgotten from time to time, even though it's got some lineage when it comes to basketball rookie cards. And that kind of evolved over the years from just a numbered rookie base to an auto, and then finally a jersey auto. And in 1999, a lot of the rookies were autos numbered to 2500. Whichever ones weren't signed then were numbered to 3500, and Jeff Foster falls into the latter camp. The 2 parallels, though, were all numbered the same, and they were all unsigned. So there's a Radiance numbered to 100, and then there's a Spectrum 1-of-1. And they both have that old-style dot matrix numbering that Upper Deck used at one point. I kind of like seeing that. I don't know why. But several years ago, I actually found the jersey-numbered Foster Radiance, which was numbered 10 of 100, and I figured the Spectrum would be the one I would never find, or one that was locked up in another collection, never to see the light of day. Thankfully, I was wrong. A couple weeks ago, this one popped up on eBay as a 7-day auction, raw, and as luck would have it, the timing was pretty good for me. I would say, I behaved in Dallas. I haven't bought a ton on eBay recently. And I was looking at this thinking, you know what? Here's a chance here that my patience might actually pay off. And as usual, those 7 days were kind of nerve-wracking. One of the group chats I'm in was following it. And in the last day or so, they were all kind of cheering me on. So that was kind of fun. And obviously, because it's on my countdown here, you can figure out that I won. Now, in the past, there's been an issue with some possible fake or altered versions of these Spectrum parallels. I don't remember all the specifics, but there was a whole thread about it on the Blowout forums. I ran this one by a couple people, and it checks out. And I also had a friend message me saying his shop was selling the card for the original owner, for the person that pulled this card. So it's cool to know that even though this came out in 1999, I'm only the second owner of this card. All that was left then, after the purchase and that whole process, was the authentication, which has been a little bit of a problem in the past. I'm not going to go into all that here, but this time they sent me the correct card, and here we are. I'm happy to have it, and it now assumes the role of my number 1 Jeff Foster card. So there you have it. I want to say thank you to those of you who have ever sent me links for Jeff Foster cards or helped me find Foster cards or even sold me Foster cards. I want to say thank you to those of you that tuned in to hear all about these 10 cards. And then thank you to those of you that listen to this on the audio podcast as well. So remember, there's a new audio podcast that comes out every Thursday. And as always, thanks for watching.